The company's Behavidence, and they're making some inroads. They're also up for an award. On my right is Roy Cohen, the CEO and founder of the company. And on my left is Gene Ellenberger, the chief doctor and the chief medical officer for the company. So thank you for joining us. Congratulations on being a nominee for an award.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
Tell us about your company.
So Behavidence is a company that develops digital biomarker for mental health. So we detect mental health disorders like depression, anxiety, ADHD, stress, PTSD, based on how you use your phone. So if we think about it, if we're happy, we'll use the phone in one way. If we're sad, we'll use the phone in a different way. If we're schizophrenic, we'll use the phone in a different way. And those tiny changes in how you operate your phone actually can reveal a lot. It's behavioral data that if you collect it correctly, and also privately, you can train machine learning models to detect mental health disorders, and this is what we do. So it will tell you if your stress is higher today than yesterday, if the treatment that you're taking is actually helpful and assisting your recovery, or maybe it's the wrong treatment for the wrong disorder.
Wow. How long has this been in the making?
We're 3 years old now, but what's really impactful about what we do is that there are no biomarkers for mental health. So if you think about diagnosing or screening for other conditions like diabetes or cholesterol, you'll have a blood test or finger prick test for your blood sugar and say, your sugar is elevated, so therefore you may have diabetes. There are no tests like that available for mental health. Traditionally, mental health...
Doesn't somebody know when they're depressed or anxiety?
But it's very subjective. So depression for you might, and even in the DSM-5 criteria, the book they use to diagnose conditions, depression, there are like 16 different criteria. It could be you sleep too much or you sleep too little. But if you're anxious, you don't sleep. And if you are schizophrenic, you don't sleep. So how do you know which one it is? There is no definitive CAT scan or blood test you can take. So we're building biomarkers based on your cell phone behavior that will then screen and give you early detection of mental health conditions.
Give me an idea. You said by using the phone you can tell if somebody's schizophrenic or have other issues. How does one use a phone differently if you have these mental conditions? You just pick up the phone and go, hello, what do you do?
So this is the secret sauce. Basically, I would narrow it down. I'd say we don't know. So we recruited thousands of people with specific disorders and thousands of control, and basically you train a machine learning model and tell them, like, those are the 1,000 that have depression, those are the 1,000 that don't have depression.
How does someone have depression? Do they pick up the phone differently? I'm trying to ascertain that.
For you, for example, let's say that, I'll tell you about myself. I'm using social media quite a lot. For me, it could be that between 8 to 9 a.m., I'm using social media differently today because I'm more depressed. Or maybe the frequency of opening Facebook would be lower. For you, it might be that you're not even using social media. For you, it could be that utilities, you're using maps on your iPhone in a different way between 9 to 10 a.m. compared to 9 to 10 p.m. So it collects around 300,000 data points per day. So when you're not depressed, you'll use the phone in a very specific way. That is your specific way of using the phone. When you're depressed, it will change, and we can detect those minor changes to say, like, you're heading in that direction.
So basically speaking, you're really appealing to consumers to get your product.
The consumer is the end user. Ultimately, I think providers will use this to help them with their clinical decision-making process. One of the nice things is that right now, clinicians don't know if they put someone on medication, say they put someone on Prozac, for example, for depression. They don't really have a measurement marker to know if it's working or not. And if I go and see my psychiatrist today, and I've had an argument with my spouse this morning, I'll walk in there and they'll say, how was your day? I'm terrible. I felt terrible. It clouds my judgment for the previous month, whereas now you'll be able to come in and say, well, these are my scores for the previous month. I see actually you're doing okay. The medicine is actually working. Perhaps we need to go to therapy a little bit and discuss the other issues, and we'll see you again in 3 weeks' time. Or maybe that medication is not working. Maybe we have the wrong diagnosis. Maybe you have anxiety and we need to change it to a different SSRI. So it enables clinical decision making, which is very much needed at the moment.
I think the work, our biggest partner at the moment is the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs. 22 veterans commit suicide every day in the U.S. So our app is able to say this person is deteriorating, this is the time to intervene, long before it becomes a crisis or before someone takes their...
Is somebody monitoring aside from the individual, or is a doctor monitoring the patient through the app?
So it could be basically creating an alert for your provider, for your healthcare provider, but it can also be for a family member, just to call and say like, hey Roy, are you okay? Just to make sure that they deal with it at the right time. And in many cases, before you commit suicide, you're not talking to everyone about it. And it's a longer process of deterioration, so we are able to detect the deterioration at a very early stage.
Can you also detect, for example, somebody's going to commit a terrible crime, terrorism, for example, can you detect that?
Yes.
I'm pushing to the max.
Perhaps soon.
Okay.
I love where it's going, where this conversation is going, but currently we're focusing on mental health and predicting mostly deterioration or getting the right diagnosis at the right time. And there's so much to do and unravel here.
Is it available right now to the general public?
Yes, it's available. You can download the app on the Google Store and the Apple Store and use it. You'll need a provider to give you all the functionalities available, but I think the basic features are available.
Track your stress levels right now, so it'll give you that daily metric for stress. What we are finding is that the patients who are use it, their self-management is better, their self-awareness is better, so their adherence to therapy and their therapeutic outcomes are far better.
Terrific, and you're up for an award, so we hope that you'll be a winner.
Thank you.
Amen for that. Thank you.
If not, I better check my phone.
Yep, true that.
Thank you for joining us.